Episode 3 of the Early Stage Founders podcast. Super, super excited to welcome Josh to the pod. Josh is the founder of My Forever Books. He's a brown belt in jiu-jitsu, and he just somewhat recently moved to Florida from PA, and he's living it up down in Miami. I can't wait to talk to you, bro. Let's go ahead and get into it.
Avery, my man, thank you for having me on the pod, dude. I'm very, very excited. I've been loving getting to know you over the past few months as well. And dude, just excited to chop it up with you right now.
Yes, sir. Absolutely, man. Well, yeah, like you mentioned, we met a couple months ago. We've been grinding it out, different startups, working on different things, bouncing ideas back and forth. And it's been an awesome time, man. But if you would, just for the audience, will you give a little background, where you're from, what you've been up to, what you're doing now, and all that good stuff?
Yeah, man, let's do it. So I'm originally from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, born and raised there, went to school, went to college, everything. So I love that city. And I lived there until I was like 27. And so just about 6 months ago, I moved down here to Miami Beach. And loving it ever since. So I was working fully remote at my job. I was working as a software engineer for a corporate company. I was there for 5.5 years. And then a year before that, I was working as a web developer at US Steel, like my senior year of college. So I was able to do that as well. So I've been fortunate, right after college, I got a good software engineering job, a good salary, all that. And I was learning from a lot of people. And when you start the job, there were moments in that job I loved coding, I loved being on the team, I loved working for the company, and I was just learning so much. And then it started. Years go down, and you just keep working on the same things. You kind of keep hitting the same problems, and you're working for somebody else, and like these ideas start kind of creeping in your head. Like, dude, you know what I mean? Like, I'm kind of good now. You know what I mean? I'm a good coder. People are coming to me now. I'm kind of running everything in a way. Like what, and I'm starting to get into like indie hacking Twitter, and I'm following all these people, and these people are just building their own cool stuff. And this idea pops in my head, like, man, like I should be working towards that. Cause my entire life, I knew that I always wanted to be a business owner, like self-employed entrepreneur. I grew up in a family business, so I always saw my dad working his own hours and all that. So yeah, when I moved down here, I worked for a few more months on my job, and then I realized it's time to call it quits and go all in my business. By that time, I already started making some organic. Like I made an organic sale, my first sale from some random dude in Tennessee. Once I got a dude in Tennessee buying my product, I'm like, dude, I know it's time to go all in. So yeah, just beginning of October, I quit my job and decided to go all in on my business. And so what for the past couple of years, I've been building My Forever Books. The quick, elevator pitch is that it turns your text messages into a printed book. So you upload your texts from your iMessage, WhatsApp, Android. You customize your text messages, your chat bubble colors, your book cover, some other customization options on our online editor. And then you order a book, and we print and ship it right to your door. So think like anniversary gifts, family vacations. A lot of people have been doing it for like deceased like loved ones, like a grandpa or grandma or mother. I'm getting a lot of that too. So it's like a very sentimental gift. And, ever since I moved down to Florida, I started working on it more and more and more, and really got coding after it. And I realized, when you're at your job and you're working on a side project as well on the weekends and nights and all that, I started thinking like, dude, like I'm right there. I spent all this time building this product. It's done. It's working. You can take money. You can print the books. So you can ship the product. It does all that. Like it's time to really give it a serious push, a serious effort. I already did all the hard work. I already built out the entire thing. Why am I not? I'm like sitting on a gold mine. It's time to really market it. So ever since I quit my job and went all in on it, dude, I mean, sales have been increasing like crazy. My happiness is just through the roof. I'm working on what I want to work on. I'm investing in myself, in my own business. I'm not capped at a salary. So now I'm working full time on the business. That's pretty much where I'm at now.
That's incredible, man. Yeah, it's been awesome to see the project take shape. I remember just a few months ago when you were just sort of starting to take that leap and really get serious about it. And you were fired up, man. One thing, because I want to go through the whole story and understand,
Yeah.
how you came up with the idea, that random guy in Tennessee that decided to buy it. all
Yep.
the way up to this point in the future. But one thing real quick, was there ever like a definitive point when you were working your job when you thought, I have to start going hard on this idea, I have to get out of this situation? Was there any sort of defining moment?
Yeah, dude, exactly. My whole new movement through life is not to think about anything. I just act and do actions when I get a thought. So there was one night I literally was just in my bedroom, just thinking and reflecting. And then I just wrote on a piece of paper without any thought, tomorrow I'm quitting my job. And then I posted about it on Twitter, because Twitter is a great way to put some accountability. I was like, hey guys, wrote this on a piece of paper. I'll update you whether I do it. Next day, boom, quit my job, updated Twitter one more time. That's my pinned tweet right now about quitting my job, putting my back against the wall. So it was literally just, I'm sure it was brewing for a while, and I knew I felt that for a long time. Um, but it was that night where I just went after it. And, when you're working a corporate job, there's just so much bullshit you have to go through, so much red tape. So I was already pissed off beyond it. You know what I mean? I'm like a fiery guy, and at my job, everybody knew I was already just over it with it. So, it was just time for me to dip out. And that little tweet, it was a good move, I think.
Absolutely, man. And that's so funny. I hear that story a lot, and I sort of have a little similar. I sort of started to build this like disdain, I guess, for my situation as well. And then it all kind of culminates in that one moment. But that's really cool. So you just wrote it down on a piece of paper. You said, I'm doing it. I'm going to look at this piece of paper tomorrow. Twitter already knows about it. So there's people that are going to call me out if it doesn't happen.
Exactly.
You burn your bridges and you just went for it.
Exactly. Like, you can't not do it after you did that. And I'll never forget when you told me, we had a conversation before, and you were like, it's not natural for people to work the 9-to-5 salary position. No, that's not how people work.
Yeah.
People work the farm, and we're going out and about and doing their trade, and we're true artisans in their craft or whatever. So like this whole 9-to-5, it's definitely not for me. You know what I mean? So
100%.
works, but I think what you said, I think for most people, it's not natural. It's not natural for us to work like that.
Yeah, 100%. And I think some people, I talked to Yusuf about this on the last podcast as well. I think some people work really well just having that sort of roadmap and coming in and, knocking things out and, kind of coming home and saying, hey, I did a good day's work. I put in a lot of time, put in a lot of effort, and the results aren't really, I guess, the key point, and that sort of works for them, and they can go to a job and punch in and punch out all day and it's fine. But I think for a certain type of person, you have to create something, and you mentioned, back in the old days, even if you were just working a farm, if you were like if you were making pottery or whatever and selling that to other people in your small community, you're creating something and you can take pride in your work, and you have a product that is stamped with like Josh or Avery, your name to it. But you're producing something for the community, and you can see that sort of manifest. It's not like, I'm doing paperwork at Geico and then way down the line there's a product and something like that. You sort of have that entire business, you have that entire product with you, right? And I think that is something that some people just have to do. They just have to create their own stuff. They have to have their own business, and they have to take that path. Exactly.
It all comes from a sense of pride in your work. And if you're feeling that sense of pride with what you do, then that's totally cool. But, I had that too. I was working my job, and I felt a huge sense of pride for what we were building and the team I was on. But eventually, that stuff waned. And that's when you kind of know. And I always say, just trust your instincts, trust your gut, because however you're feeling right now, it's what you truly want. And then, think about it. If you're really working on what you want to work on, if I can barely work 30 minutes in my job, I can go all day straight working on the business, dude. Even if you're not making, I took no paychecks, no nothing, but you're thinking about how much you can get done now when you're really working on your business. It's just next level.
Yeah, you got to take the leap. If you have that little burning desire, and that, you're putting in all these hours on your project, it's not producing anything for you yet, but you can't keep yourself from just going so hard on your project, thinking about it all the time. In your gut, you have to just take the leap. You have to do it.
100%. 100%.
Well, dude, I mean, that being said, I'm really, really interested in the story of
Yeah.
My Forever Books and how you got here. Like, can you take us back to the very beginning?
Yeah, very beginning is high school with the boys, the squad group chat. All right,
Nice.
we had the squad group chat in Twitter actually back then, and I mean we were messaging each other all day. And you know how it is back in the day, you're roasting each other, this dude's face, and in this picture like some meme or whatever, we're going off on each other, and we thought it was hilarious, and it was every single day. And one day I think, we're just like, yo, what if this was a book? It would be hilarious to flip through this stuff, right? I mean, this is over 10 years ago now. And I'm like, dude, that would be a great idea if we could turn our Twitter group message into a book. So it was 10 years ago is when I had the idea, literally. But I knew I didn't have the technical chops to do it. I knew I didn't have the money to freaking pay somebody. And I always knew I wanted to be the one to build it out as well. Because I knew I wanted to get into computer science. I knew I wanted to get into coding and all that. I just didn't have the technical chops to do it. So, I go through college, I go through work, but this idea is always in the back of my head. I'm like, dude, this thing is I think it's a winner. And so I started working on it. Once I got better at software engineering, I was at my job for a while. Dude, I'm just like, I can definitely make this. This is easy. I'm not going to Mars with Elon. I'm just making a lot of software, by the way, that we make is really super simple. Like everybody that makes money, it's just about storing data in a database, pulling it back and presenting it to the user, and just like a UI. That's like everything. That's 99% of software. And so I started working on it. I started working on the side. And, as I'm working on it, there was one company in the United States doing it. And they were making money. They were making a profit. But, like when I moved down in that August, they went out of business. Good or bad sign, I don't know. I don't care. I think what it was is that they had really old software that you had to install, and they just couldn't keep up with the tech, right? Because there's just new versions, and they probably paid a team back in the day to build it. They built it. They paid them for updates. It's probably super hard to update, so they had to just close the business down. So I'm just like, oh, dude, it's another sign for me to come in and swoop in and take whatever, markets. I don't even know how big of a market share they had. I think I can grow it to bigger than what they had. And yeah, so that it was this high school idea. I I knew I didn't have the technical chops to do it. Once I did, I kind of got it. And yeah, so when I was building it, I always had the idea that it would be used for anniversaries. Like my initial gut instinct, what it would be used for like anniversaries or friend stuff or remembering loved ones. That's what I'm seeing. It's being used for as well. So I think what the biggest surprise though is the amount of people are doing it for deceased relatives or like a really true keepsake. So I think I'm gonna start doubling down on that, and I'm happy with where I picked like the name of the company and the logo, My Forever Books. It feels very much like you're immortalizing something. You're keeping that feel. So that's another thing I'm realizing with the branding and all that. But that's pretty much the story. You know what I mean? That's your work. I used to live in a basement apartment. That was literally the coding stereotype. Put my hoodie up, coding away. I was coding all day, all night, my job and then to the business. So it was a lot of development stuff to work on. And there's still a lot of development. That was the biggest surprise is how much technical moat the application had, because there's so many devices, so many different things you have to support, a lot of features that people request, a lot of bugs that come up. So a lot of it has just been developing. So, I'm a coder at heart, an engineer type at heart. And now the kind of the journey now is the whole business and marketing and getting it in front of the people.
Yeah. So 10 years in the making, this project. That's incredible. I didn't know that.
Yeah. Yeah. An idea easily from over 10 years ago, for sure. And then development, like 2 years. But really, if I go look at my GitHub contribution graph, dude, the amount of, because you're just so busy with the job, and like, it wasn't until I moved down to Florida that I could see my productivity just go, like my contributions to the project go way up. And also it's literally 1-to-1. The more I contributed to the project, the more money I made. So keep it simple, and just the more you work on it, the more you're going to make out of it.
Absolutely. And when it became a serious project, obviously, and you really started to get into it much more, your efforts sort of blow up after you decide to just dump a bunch of hours into it, dump a bunch of effort. You mentioned earlier, so you had your first sale was from some random dude in Tennessee. How did that happen? How did he even discover the product? Like how did that come about?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think that the product is so niche. It's great. It's niche and it lets me dominate the search rankings because people are searching specifically for that, how to turn your text messages into a book. Maybe it's not a ton of monthly searches, but I can definitely tap into that. So literally, dude, all my customers are coming from SEO, basic SEO. I haven't even gone that much. I have one blog post that's generating some traffic. My landing page is generating most of it. But now you turn text to book, I'm the first one. And also, so SEO plus Reddit. So I made sure to comment on all the Reddit posts that mention that with that problem. I comment on that. People have been responding to it. I'm getting more and more visibility on it. And it's literally just Reddit and SEO, so it's almost like I'm getting the perfect right now influx of customers where they're giving me feedback. I'm iterating on bugs. I'm adding features that they're requesting. They're waiting on certain things before they purchase a book. So then once I get everything fixed and really, really the process is really polished, then I feel like I can open the floodgates, so to say, with social media marketing, short form content. I don't want to, people always say that people mostly write, about you should be marketing your product and that should be like a big thing and don't put it off. I get that, but I have to fit. I can't lose customers due to bugs. I can't lose customers due to the process being bad or something's not working. So like my reputation also has to be rock solid. That's another thing I'm learning as well. So right now I'm just trying to really solidify everything, solidify the entire process and open the floodgates with the rest of the marketing. But yeah, all my customers, Reddit and SEO, short answer to that question.
That's awesome. Yeah. And I mean, it starts with the product, you know what I mean? Like we could go way, way back and talk about marketing wait lists and stuff like that. But like fundamentally, the product has to serve its purpose and do it well. And you have to have those positive experiences with people to even be confident in like investing your time and effort into marketing it big time. Um,
Exactly. The base thing that I come to realize, I literally just realized this maybe a couple days ago. The product itself is a freaking winner, dude. People love the idea. People love the idea, and now I have evidence because my emails, bro, people send me, people get super personal in their emails. They really love the idea. They want to make books. They're enthusiastic about it. So it's just like, dude, I know it's a winner. That's the biggest thing. If you have a really good product and you just start executing on it and pivoting when you need to pivot, you can make it work.
yeah, absolutely. Going to the SEO thing real quick, because I think it's really, really valuable to highlight for the audience as well. Like most people push off SEO for a while, and they're like, this is a really long-term strategy. Maybe I'll start creating some blog stuff, but it's not really going to produce for me until, I have this huge directory of content and, months later, blah, blah, blah. That's not always the case. And I think that your project is sort of living proof of that. If you can find those really, really niche keywords, right? And often those full length questions, how to turn my iMessage text into a book, some super long keyword that might be doing, whatever, 100 people, 200 people a month or something like that. You mentioned your landing page itself is ranking and driving traffic for those keywords, not even having a big blog or anything, just the landing page by itself. I think that is something that so many people miss. You could 100% go out, find those niche keywords, and your landing page itself will start to rank for those keywords.
100%. It pays dividends, and the sooner you get on it, the better. And again, it just bolsters your brand. If you're the first result to come up on Google, that means like people view that as trusting your brand. The more legit you make your landing page, the more eyes you get on it, the more you have just telling people to search on it and read your Reddit posts. Like I never give the link directly to them to search for my product. The little tricks like that, you can really dominate the rankings pretty quickly. You just have to be smart and strategic about it, and it bolsters your brand 100%. It pays huge dividends, huge.
That's awesome. How did you go about figuring that out? Like, how did that come about for you?
I think just inherently knowing that the product is niche. I knew I would go, I would use whatever, you can use whatever, like the SEO tools, Ahrefs, SEMrush, Mangools, whatever you want to use. Kind of look at the month you can get, just pay for a month and just see what people are searching for. How many searches a month are there, right? Dude, if 1,000 people a month are searching for turn text messages into a book, that's a very specific search, and people are looking for a solution. If I just get 10%, 1% of that, that's like these are serious sales just from those strings of keywords, right? And then with the social media stuff, you can now start implanting just spreading the word and get people searching for something that they didn't think was possible, right? But there are people who specifically have that problem, who thought that of the idea, they want a solution. So I always knew that SEO would be good for my website because it's so niche. Now, if you're doing like a clothing company, like a clothing brand or something, and you're going to be competing with Nike, Adidas, whatever. So at that point, you have to get crafty with you're looking at a more social media style of marketing. That's going to be more effective for your brand. But for something like mine, solving a very specific solution, I knew that I need to be dominating searches for those things.
So one thing that you said reminded me, I remember you shared a tip with a few people, myself included, where you were asking people who, if they were asking about your brand or whatever, if they were curious, instead of giving them the link, you told them to go search for it on Google.
Yeah.
Can you tell me a bit about that?
Yeah. Yeah. So in any forum, any whatever you thread you're on, if it's Reddit or Quora or whatever, and people have a specific problem and your product solves it for them, never give the product link directly in your reply, right? You have so many people lurking and looking through these threads. If they just click your product link and then go to your page, you're missing on a huge boost by telling them instead to go and search for it in Google. If you're the first one and your product comes up and then they click on it, that's telling Google, hey, this is the guy to push up to the top. Such an easy thing to do. And bro, it's a game changer. So always tell people to search for your product. Don't give them the product link directly.
Dude, that was one of the coolest SEO tips I've ever heard. I started doing it as well.
Yeah.
And if you track your progress for SEO, if you look at click-through rate and stuff like that, having people just boost your click-through rate, go to your thing and actually start engaging with it and all of that stuff, it absolutely helps your search ranking. And you can back all of that stuff with data from your Google Search Console. Yeah, I was amazed when you said that, dude. It's one of those things where it's sort of right in front of your face that whole time, and you don't realize it until somebody says something.
Yeah.
And even with Reddit especially, right? Like a lot of those subreddits, you're going to get, your comment taken down, or you're going to get banned, or like you're going to have some sort of negative feedback to posting a link. But if you just shout it out, hey, check out this thing called My Forever Books, just look it up. That is way more like inconspicuous and way more chill. And you're actually probably getting much more traffic from Reddit that way.
100%. Yeah. It definitely just matches the etiquette of Reddit better.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool, man. Really, really good tips there. What's the future look like for My Forever Book? Still a young project. You're now getting really serious about it. What's
Yeah.
sort of the roadmap look like?
Yeah. Great question. So right now in the short term, it's adding a couple more key features. People want to be able to add messages anywhere before any like messages that aren't in their chats. They want to be able to add that anywhere. So I'm adding that in right now. Also being able to reorder messages and different things. So the book editor portion right now is where like the improvements I'm making currently, then fixing some bugs, right? So that's like just the short term, just bug fixes and features that people are looking for. The medium term, a lot of people are hitting me up. Currently works on, you have to use like a laptop or a computer to go through the process, but I'm getting a lot of people saying that they don't have a laptop or they want to do this on their phone. So I think mobile device support is going to be huge. It's going to be probably the biggest challenge technically, but I definitely have to make it work. And if you think about it, most people are browsing on their phones, or if somebody's on social media on Instagram or TikTok, they're going to be on their phone, right? So that's just a huge market to tap into. that I have to figure out. I have to figure out how to make it work for mobile devices on somebody's phone, and so they can edit, order the book right from their phone in their bed. That's going to be, I think, just take it again up a level. That's kind of like the technical side for just the product itself. Then the marketing side is going to be the whole social media short form content. I want to have an affiliate program. I want to be tapping into influencers that match my niche, letting them know, hey, like you send people they buy a book, you get whatever percentage. Um, Tapping into people like in real life as well, wedding photographers, or dude, somebody just had an idea like places where like a funeral home or something. If you want to, there's all types of businesses that I can tap into. So affiliate programs, short form content, referring a friend, all those little things. So that's technical marketing, and then there's just the other ed side is the third, I think, is what can I do now for existing customers that just go through the book? How can I increase margins? How can I increase profit with the upselling, the e-com side of the entire thing? That's also what I'm working on. So I just added the ability I upsell now for a glossy cover. That's $5 extra. I upsell now for nicer paper. That's $10 extra per book, right? So already $15 profit in just something super easy to implement. Yesterday actually was the first day I just implemented this stuff maybe a few days ago. I had a customer yesterday buy all my upsells. So that purchase right there, my margins were just way higher. I was like, dude, it's like such an easy thing to do and such an effective way. With all the e-com stuff and it's all about value, volume based like selling. The more books I sell, the more upsells I have, the more I just stretch a whole order and I can make way more per order. So that's a whole nother thing with the upselling. You get on my website, put in your email, you get a 10% whatever off. You buy the book. Hey, this is your last chance to buy one more for 50% off, whatever. Hardcover options is an extra how much this. Foil wrapping, this is an extra how much forever this. You want the most premium package, most premium book, whatever. The one set price, at this price, you pay this, you get all the bells and whistles, right? So there's so many different opportunities to upsell. And so that's another thing I'm going to be focusing on. So I have like my technical stuff, my marketing stuff, I have the e-com side. The timeline, I think I have to fix, number one, I always have to fix all the bugs and everything. The social media stuff, I think I'm just going to have to get on that too. Like there's a lot to do, as a founder. Hopefully I can start outsourcing work as I get more and more profiting, putting stuff in the business. So that's kind of like, I that's my rough timeline. It's like at least the ideas I'm thinking about. So
We've got a plan in place, man. That's awesome. I mean, you're talking about all these things you're going to add, all these things you're going to do on the marketing side and the upsell side. How exciting is it when you try something and it just works? You did these upsells and then people start buying it. How incredible it is to just throw something out there and your market loves it.
Exactly. And, people tell me in real life, like, yo, you should be, what about A/B testing? I'm like, I don't give a fuck about A/B testing, right? I swear, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't give a fuck about A/B testing right. When I'm a big ass company, then I can do A/B testing. Right now, I have to operate on instinct. You know what I mean? Steve Jobs and whoever, they weren't A/B testing when they were just starting off their companies. They were just operating on instinct. So I know that this is going to work. I know, you know what I mean? So yeah, when you just trust your instinct and throw this in and it works, bro, that's all I need to know. On to the next thing. So it feels great. It's such an easy, and it's also win-win for everybody. You know what I mean? That's the great thing of a business. I mean, you have these upsells, you have all this stuff. The customer gets more premium product. They don't care. What I've realized with the product is I have to treat it as a premium product, and that's how people view it, and that's how I have to treat it and respect it as. So people are willing to spend
100%.
serious money on a gift, And at first, I had a super low pricing for it. I was like, people even going to buy this, dude? Every day now, I'm like, am I charging enough? So you have to, that's kind of the confidence building in your product as well. But yeah, exactly. Like it feels great when things just work. And most of the time you're right there, and what you think will work will actually work.
For sure. Yeah. And it's on just understanding your market, understanding, your customers and what they want to see. And you're talking about making it more of a premium product, charging a little bit more and stuff like that. it also allows you to make a better product at the end of the day. You can serve them more consistently high quality stuff. You can keep increasing the quality, like you were saying about the glossy covers and stuff like that. So it's absolutely a win-win. You become a sort of this premium brand, you make more revenue from it, and you can invest a lot more of that revenue into delivering your customers a better thing at the end of the day. Huge win-win.
Yeah, exactly that. Yeah. Eventually, like my long-term plan, if you're interested in a long-term vision, is eventually if I could print the books myself, right? And then ship them myself and have like maybe a little place to do that all, then now I can go invest in the box, right? Like the print company prints and ships and it just has like this little cardboard box. Now I can upsell even like, oh, a nice package, a nice gift package, and have personal handwritten letters and a lot of things. So there's just so much potential right now. I know I'll get there eventually, but you should always have, I guess, like your 5 year, like whatever, way further down the line, image as well. I wasn't thinking that big. It took some talking with people until I kind of got inspired to think that big, and really playing to win, treating this as a real business. Having that mindset shift has been huge. Like, this is a freaking business. You know what I mean?
For sure. Yeah. And that's what's going to fuel you to, I mean, it causes you to think more longer term, and that's what's going to fuel you to sort of get outside of your comfort zone with this stuff too. Because a lot of people, and I think people from a developer, software engineer background, especially, really hesitate to get into like marketing and sales. And I think it's something that kills a lot of projects early on. Because there's sort of this attitude of, well, if I can't just like post a link somewhere or have people just naturally become drawn to the product, then I guess it wasn't a good idea, or maybe I shouldn't pursue it full time or something like that. It's often not the case. In the beginning, there's a lot more going to the market in any way, shape, or form that you can. And that involves getting out of your comfort zone. And to do that, you've got to take it seriously before you're seeing any results. You've got to think a little bit longer term, and it's got to be a real priority in your life.
100%. You have to play to win. Like you said, there's a lot of really good developers who spend a lot of time making a rock solid product, and they're right there, and then they give up. You usually just a few pivots away from making some money. So I agree 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or a few conversations too, like I know in the early stage founders community, we work with a lot of developers as well. And it's like, I've seen people amazed by, sending somebody a LinkedIn message that says, hey, we made an alternative to X, Y, and Z that you're using, and it does this better. Just a simple message like that. And people are like, oh, okay, yeah, let me sign up for the free trial. And it's like, what's that saying? It's always, I don't remember, but it's not as scary as it is. You know what I mean? It's like, you've got to get over that mental blocker of getting outside your comfort zone, doing that marketing and sales kind of situation, going to people and having those conversations with people. But you'll be surprised by how often people are like, oh, this is really cool. I like it. Let's do it.
Yeah. And sometimes it just takes one or two really positive comments to get that fire back in you. Like, that was for me. I had a person on Twitter who has like a big following and doing really well with their app. They commented, they DM me and said, they said something, and then they said, and by the way, love your idea. I can see you growing really fast with this, and this. I'm like, dude, this dude's telling me that was like that was a big boost for me. So sometimes it just takes one person to really give you a boost like that. And also when you're just on the internet or on Twitter, in the Telegram group, you're with the boys, you guys are firing each other up, keeping morale high. That's huge. The stuff like that's huge, and connections just come naturally. Then now you have, you have all types of problems you can solve. And when you kind of step into the world, you see so much more opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely. And those little wins mean so much to you in the beginning. Somebody saying, I like the idea.
Yeah.
A potential customer saying, give me more details about it. Anything like that will fire you up so much.
Yeah.
You just have to go after those little wins. They'll become bigger wins down the line. So Absolutely, man.
Exactly that.
Well, dude, so it's been a little bit of a journey so far for you. Obviously, a lot more to go. I'm sure you've learned a ton so far. And a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of founders, we just go out and do, and then we sort of learn as we go. You know what I mean? And that a lot of times comes with, you learn some things the hard way. you learn some things the easy way. Like, what are the key learnings you would say? What stuck with you at this point that you've learned in your journey?
Dude, such a good, yeah, exactly that. Like, when you're learning a language too, I always say this, when you're learning a language, you don't start with the grammar rules and then try to learn language that way. You practice, you repeat, you keep going over things over and over. Then every once in a while you check the grammar. Oh, okay, that makes sense. That's why we do it like that. That's why 1, 5, and 10, we use a different ending for whatever language, right? And so that's the same thing here. I'm just doing, and then you take a second to learn and reflect and see what you're doing right. Biggest learnings, number one, biggest learnings, huge realizations that there's so much freaking money to be made. Anybody's watching this, dude, there's so much opportunity. There's so much stuff that needs to be built. There's so much you can do on your own. AI has been insane for productivity. It's just so fun. Big thing is like pricing for sure. Figuring out the pricing, figuring out how much people are willing to spend. Whenever you start, you're always just like, is this too expensive? Is this too expensive? But no, you can definitely boost boost whatever. Yeah, go ahead.
How do you go about figuring out your pricing?
Yeah, so sometimes it's just asking from people you trust, like, what do you think? There's some really smart people who maybe have a better grasp on it than I do. Some of my existing customers or friends, I would ask them like, hey, would you spend this much extra for this upsell or this much extra? All of them said yes. You know what I mean? I think nobody has a problem with that. And you kind of just understanding your product better, you get to a point where you understand that stuff more intrinsically. And, eventually as you get, I was talking about A/B testing. For me, it's not the right thing for me to do right now, but eventually A/B testing is something that's great for an established company and, for really dialing in the profit and all that. So that's that. Another big learning, and I tweeted about this early on in the journey, for an engineer type, the whole process, the engineering part is the easy part. Okay. That's what we're good at. The whole journey for an engineer type who makes a solid product is going to be the marketing and the business and the customer service and learning how to outsource work, and that you're not going to be able to do it all on your own. How we all think we can do it all on our own. You're eventually going to have to outsource different things. So like for any engineer type, I totally get it. I'm right there with you, but the journey is not about coding it. That's the easy part for us. We can freaking code anything. We can make it any app. We can do whatever we want. It's about learning how to upsell, make the e-com feel, get customers, all that stuff. That's what the journey is about. So that was a big realization as well.
Yeah, what I think is really, really cool is you're sort of a great success story for, a developer, technical guy who has done really well with the marketing and the more sort of psychological touchy-feeliness of like marketing and sales, which I
Mm-hmm.
think is often, like we were talking about, lost on developers and stuff. Like,
Right.
what's your number one piece of advice for a developer right now working on a project that's a little hesitant to get into the business side?
Dude, honestly, going and living life. Like you have to get outside, you have to be a part of a community, you have to have some type of hobby. Like you should be a very personable, warm guy that people just gravitate towards naturally, and you just learn so much from that. And also a huge thing is being on X.com and having a profile and posting and tweeting and connecting with people and having a group of guys that are in a similar position to you. Some may be a little bit further, some may be a little bit under, right? You have a mentor, people at the same level, a mentee, and you have to be like connecting and talking and practicing. And a lot of it's practice. You know what I mean? Posting videos and putting out content every day or putting out tweets every day, replying, getting better at talking to people in DMs, getting better at talking to people on video calls, accepting every opportunity that comes your way. Like all that has to be done. You have to practice, man, practice with like the whole social aspect of everything, and when I get so many ideas from our group, Avery, like all the guys talking about different marketing tactics or SEO tactics or how to structure a video. dude, it's just huge, man. And just armies would go into countries or whatever, and part of the one of the biggest things was just keeping morale up, right? The army that has their morale up, who's winning and surrounded by people who are firing them up, that's the army that dominates. Same thing with this. Like you have to be treating it like you cannot be solo. You cannot be solo as a developer. You have to get out of that bubble. Like if you think you're some type of misunderstood genius and nobody gets you, get out of that garbage. You have to, you know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
I've definitely been there, done that, but no, you're shooting yourself in the foot.
So practice, practice, practice. Get out there, talk to people, get out of that sort of introverted bubble a little bit. And and,
Yeah,
and
man.
that's really good advice. And because I'm kind of naturally introverted as well.
Me too.
And
Me
business has
too.
sort of brought me out of it, I'm sure similar to you. But it doesn't work. You know what I mean? We all really appreciate, the alone time, the solitude time and stuff like that. But business is about people, and it's about meeting people and talking to people and having good relationships with people and stuff like that. And I think you're 100% right. The only way to make that happen, and you can do it from any starting point, is to practice and just do it.
100%. 100%. Do not think. Do not think. Stop thinking. Just go and do. You know what I mean? Be,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Well, so on that note, like I know that you're really into training, jujitsu, CrossFit, all of that stuff as well. I'm also, big on working out and health and physical health and all of that stuff. Has that always been a thing for you, or when did you get into sort of training and health and all that?
Yeah, man. So, I've been doing jujitsu now 14 years, like a long time. A lot of time spent on the mats. I wrestled in high school. I train a lot of jujitsu. I love it. Like, I know I can't function without it. I go crazy. It's like everybody should have, I kind of saw this advice one time. Everybody should have a physical hobby. Everybody should have an artistic hobby. And so, but training and staying healthy and staying consistent, thank God that's something I've always naturally been able to do. I think like high school wrestling kind of really instills that into you, practice and cutting weight, all that stuff. And also, I just really, really love jujitsu. So I love jujitsu. I also love lifting weights and working out. But I kind of started transitioning away from just, your traditional, bench, squat, deadlift type workouts into more like the circuit training, the CrossFit style, hit training. Been really, really enjoying that. I feel like I get a really good workout. And like I love my jujitsu boys as well, and it's just like that camaraderie. So that's been huge, man. And it's just like being healthy has always been a big, big thing. I had a really serious gut issue like 2.5 years ago, really, really bad. I mean, I was diagnosed with ulcerative colitis, an autoimmune condition. I put that in quotes because, looking back, I'm eating I'm just eating super spicy food, eating out all the time. I'm thinking like I'm healthy just because I'm working out all the time and a lot, but my body was just getting in really bad shape. So, dude, I've been carnivore diet now for almost 2 years now. Pretty much only eat meat and animal products. I eat eggs, butter, steak, ground beef every single day. I feel freaking beast mode. I've been experimenting with more fruit here, honey, all that stuff. So feeling good on that too. Like once my gut's in a really good place now, I feel amazing. I've never been stronger in my life. I get I prioritize sunlight. I have a red light panel. I'm into, feet to floor, bare feet on the earth. Like I'm totally into all that. And you just feel so much better. You know what I mean? If I'm ever feeling a little bit off, I just go to the beach, get some water, get some sunlight on me, come back. You're just so much more productive, and like you owe it to yourself to just being in good shape. And that I love working out. Like I love working out. I love when every meal I eat is just like the most nutritious meal you can eat. You just feel beast mode 24/7, dude. I can't tell you how like it just feels amazing. Your brain is sharper. Sheesh, bro, it's the best. Like I really, really, and jujitsu is a great sport. I can't talk about jujitsu enough.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And it's essential, dude. I think it's one of those things where everybody that does it consistently and they have that physical habit, right? Where they get out and they treat their body right, they train, they eat good, they get sunlight, all of that stuff. They all get it. They all see it. You know what I mean? And if you don't do it, it's hard to sort of like, it's hard to picture, I guess, the mental state and the physical state and like the well-being. Like you have a feeling of well-being when you do these things like habitually. You know what I mean? You wake up feeling better, feeling more fired up. Everything you do, the clarity of mind, everything, it's so important. You can be an absolute genius with coding. You can be a genius with business. But it's like you're leaving results on the table if you're not taking care of your mind and your body and your spirit as well.
100%, man. Like you, just that calm that you feel after working out. That's like that's one of the best feelings ever. And just riding that, and it doesn't have to be jiu-jitsu. It can be any sport that you're into, and just stay consistent. And it doesn't have to be 5, 6, 7 days a week, every single day, dude. Like if you start lifting, I know people start lifting, like I'm going to the gym every day. I'm like, bro, you're going to keep that up for like a month tops, 2, 3, 4 times a week, 3 times a week. If you're just lifting, that's pretty much optimal. So yeah, like
100%.
set yourself
And,
up to win. Yeah.
and just plan it. You know what I mean? It's like with any sort of discipline, right? Like it's all going to require discipline. It's not going to come easy for you right away. You're starting a new habit, especially if it's something that requires you to like wake up early or whatever. You've got to just plan it, do 30 days. If you're going to do 4 days at the gym, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, get that down. You're going to wake up at this time. You're going to go to the gym and commit to just a small schedule, maybe even 14 days of, hey, like come hell or high water, I'm going to do this for 14 days and then I'll sort of reevaluate. That is the way to do it. If you just think in your head, oh, I'm fired up right now listening to this, I'm going to go to the gym tomorrow. That's nothing, man. You might go to the gym tomorrow. You might go to the next day. But the minute you stay up a little late on election night or whatever, like you're not going to want to go the next day. You got to pre-plan it.
Exactly. When I first started lifting, I just went Monday, Wednesday, Friday. If I felt like garbage, it didn't matter. I had to go. Those were my days to go. And
Yep.
exactly. You do not go when you feel the fire. That's not when you go. You go that day at that time, regardless, however you feel.
100%, man.
Yeah.
And it is election day today. Pretty exciting stuff. You go vote, everybody, if you haven't already. We have our stickers. Josh has his sticker
right here, maybe.
We got it done this morning. Day. Yeah, man, it's a big day, bro.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, is there anything else from your experience, things that you're into, like anything else you'd share with people that might help them kind of take their personal or their business to the next level?
Yeah, that's a really good question. Like huge, cliche, like old sayings and phrases, they're they're there for a reason. You know what I mean? Like nerves of steel and old, like these things that we know, the most basic, simple sayings are so true. And like one is just like straight up, just, you got to believe in yourself, and you got to trust yourself. If you're feeling a certain type of way, get after it, and you will feel so much better doing what you actually want to do. And they're like, the results will come. Like, are you the type of person, are you going to let yourself just like not make any money and not make it work? Like everybody, like when we had to write a paper, whatever, for school, and you didn't write it, somehow you fucking got it done the night before, right? You went through anything you could have done to make it work. The same thing with a business. If you're if your back's really against the wall and you have to make it work, you're going to make it work, right? If you're a winner. So just like realize that, like you will eventually make it work no matter what. Like, just trust yourself a little bit, trust your gut, trust your instincts, and that's it, man. You gotta like get some confidence and go for whatever you want to go for.
100%. Yeah, it's consistency is king, right? You got to get it in your mind, that sort of mindset of a winner, that hey, you have a goal and you're going to stop at nothing until it happens. I just read the book The Greatest Salesman in the World. It's a pretty cool book if anybody wants to check it out. It's got practical advice and stuff like that, but it's basically just a really cool story end to end. I won't spoil it for you. Give it a read. It's like 150 pages. It's really short. But one of the tenets.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, I was just going to say so I don't want to spoil too much, whatever. Like there's these scrolls or whatever that this guy kind of comes across in his life, right? One of them, the entire thing is I will persist until I win. That's the entire thing. He thought it was going to be this big, grandiose lesson, this secret to success, this thing that he's chased his entire time. And he reads it and it says, I will persist until I win. And that is like the secret to success, right? And I've seen it that way as well, 100%. You know, when I first got started, you know, in entrepreneurship, doing my own stuff, you encounter a lot of obstacles, actual obstacles, and even just ones in your own mind. And the only thing that is going to get you through to the end of time is persistence. You just have to keep going. You have to stay consistent. You have to stay fired up. No obstacle can hold you down.
Right. Exactly that. It's eventually going to work. It's eventually going to stick if you just smart about it. And dude, it's interesting. I'm going to read that book now. I was on Zach's podcast and he recommended a book for me to read. I read it. And like now you tell the viewers to read this book. I'll definitely give him a read as well. Just my books is just as I go on podcasts, I just get it from the recommendation. But he told me to read The Alchemist, right, by Paulo Coelho, I think a Brazilian author. And I mean, it was again just kind of whole. I don't want to spoil it either, but you know, the main gist of the book is that when you start working, this is something else that people should know. When you start working on what you truly want to work on, your true passion and your whole being's in it, dude, everything is going to come together to make it work. And that's something I've been finding as well in my life, dude. Everything right now is working in my favor. The people I meet, the conversations I have, the opportunities are coming my way. Everything is working in my favor. Dude, I don't even hit red lights anymore. I only get hit green lights. I'm not even kidding. When I drive a car, I can't even say the last time I had a red light, bro. I just went to
That's
the road.
awesome.
You know what I mean? It's just like, it's nuts. It's freaking nuts. Yeah, man, everything, when you're doing what you want to do, your entire being changes.
You just go full steam ahead and things just start clicking for you.
Full steam ahead, dude. Everything clicks. Everything clicks.
That's awesome. The Alchemist. So I remember Zach talking about that as well. Zach was, of course, on this podcast in episode 1. I might check that one as well. I was, you know, for the past few years, I think I've read like a half a book a year.
Yeah.
And the last like year and a half, I've probably read like 10, 15 books or whatever, like realistically,
right.
You know?
Right.
I've loved to make that a habit, dude. Like it's a new thing to me. But I've read some pretty sick books, bro. And I definitely am keen on like keeping that queue of books in ahead and then just knocking them out one by one, making that a habit. Like, are you a big reader or is this kind of new to you as well?
I've always like enjoyed reading here and there. If I have a book, you know, I go through it, but I can't say I read a ton of books, you know, maybe a few books a year. So, but you know, I've kept that fairly consistent. I'll have a book and then go on to the next one every few months. So, but definitely should up it 100% because you just get so inspired. I also love reading like fiction now. I think fiction goes right to the heart. You listen to stories. It used to be like, oh, only read nonfiction. No, honestly, fiction's great. I love memoirs, autobiographies, things like that. But yeah, definitely want to up the reading as well because you just such a cheat code to just tap into somebody super smart and get inspired with what they have to say.
Dude, 100%. I've loved it too, bro. Like, since it really opens your mind to like other ideas, and I mean, as you're reading, you know, whether it's fiction or nonfiction or whatever the case may be, you're just sort of like actively thinking the entire time and processing ideas and stuff in a whole different way than you would with like a video or something like that. Like, it's 100% my like habit of the year, new habit of the year, or whatever.
Right.
Do you have any like?
It lets you focus. It lets you focus and regain your focus. Gets you away from the phone. You read it at night. You're not looking at freaking blue light at night. It's just amazing. It's a huge win.
Dude, that's actually such a good point. Is like the attention span. It just widens your attention span. You're not on this like super quick rabbit TikTok attention span anymore. You can sit down and sort of like focus on one thing for a long time in one sitting.
Exactly. It's the exact opposite of TikTok. TikTok that makes you want to scroll and never stop. Whereas a book, you read a chapter and you're done. Dude, like the concept of a chapter and reading a chapter, like, it's just so healthy compared to all the stuff that's just infinite scroll made on purpose to make you infinitely never stop.
Yeah, just a little hamster wheel type of thing.
Yeah, exactly.
So of the books you've read and stuff like that, any like Hall of Fame all-time recommendation?
Dude, I love like World War II history and stuff like that. So, and I love anything World War II and reading about those guys and watching shows, like, deep in my heart that, like, we're standing on the shoulders of giants, you know. So when I read about those guys, I love Band of Brothers, and that's a great book. And then you should watch the show. You should watch The Pacific, and just realize that we have it so good here. I also love, bro. I love there's a book called Seabiscuit. It's about a racehorse. Laura Hillenbrand, I believe, is the author, and they also made a movie about that. I never watched it, but dude, it's just such a great. I love like American history. So reading about like 1920s, 30s America and how into horse racing it was, like thoroughbred racing back then. It's awesome. It's like a whole story about not just Seabiscuit, but like just Americana and American history and what the vibe of the country was back then. Such a good book.
That's awesome.
Yeah, man. And then also, of course, like the Bible, 100%. Like whatever religion you are, whatever your holy book is, I pray every single morning. I go over to my congregation. I pray for an hour every morning, and we read. And you can never beat that, man. Like the Torah, everything. I love it. It's just number one, written by God.
That's awesome. Yeah, 100%, man. I'm Christian as well. Actually, I read the Bible too, and I think that.
I'm actually Jewish. So
Oh,
yeah,
are
like,
you?
we say Bible the same way, but same thing. Like holy book for our peeps.
For sure. Yeah, and I mean just the power of that sort of like meditating on the word and meditating in prayer and stuff like that. Really, really, really powerful. And it's another thing, sort of like working out consistently, that you don't really understand until you're already in it, right? It's like it's hard to even reflect on the difference it makes in your mentality and the difference it makes in your worldview.
Yeah, 100%. You know what? I want to take back all my answers. The biggest thing I want to probably put out is whatever faith you are, getting deeper in your faith, man. That's the biggest thing. Like that's like everything also, by the way, everything started happening when I got deeper in my faith, like starting 2 years ago. And now just more and more each day. That is the number one biggest thing. Christian, Jewish, Muslim, whatever you are, you know, there's just so much wisdom behind your religion. And that's the biggest thing, man, relationship with God. So I know the blonde hair and everything throws it off, right? Nobody would ever think, but here I am, I infiltrated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, dude, I think I totally agree. I think it's the number one most important thing you could do just in life in general.
Yeah.
And I think, dude, that's an awesome final point to the
Yeah.
episode as well. A really, really good takeaway for everybody watching.
Awesome.
But dude, Josh, thanks so much for joining us. Episode 3 of the podcast here. Thank you for your support and making this thing happen. And for everybody, check out Josh on X. We'll have it linked below. My Forever Books will be linked below. And follow the journey, man. I followed it for a few months. It's really exciting, and I can't wait to see where it goes.
Avery, I appreciate it. You're a freaking G. I'm a fan of you. I'm a fan of your work. I'm a fan of everything you do. I think you're super, super sharp, super awesome, dude. So thanks for having me on.
Absolutely, brother. Thanks a lot.
Yep.
All right.
Take care, brother.
Yes, sir. See you.
Peace.